Hello, hello there, my crafty friends. It's Candy here from sweetstamper.com, and I'm so happy to be with you here today for your Tuesday at 2, which I'm getting ready to rename Teach Me Tuesday, because that's kind of what this has evolved into now that I'm doing 2 weekly Facebook Lives. So let me know that you're here. I know we're going to have some folks that are going to join with us live, and then some folks who are going to watch us later. And that is just part of the benefit of doing Facebook Live. Hey Grace, I'm glad you're here. I've got a fun technique for you today, just a classic technique. Hey Jackie, I'm glad you're here. I have a classic technique for you today. That's actually really what I think is simple stamping, but elevated, because when you take stamp, ink, and paper and you add a little bit of technique to it, you end up with all kinds of cool things. Just making sure, looking at my project box, making sure I have everything I need. So I hope you're enjoying some cool fall weather. Hey Gail and Diana, I'm glad y'all are here. We have had glorious cool weather here for the last couple of days. Hey Susan, welcome. When it's getting down into the 50s at night, I tell you, it's easy to just put a big smile on your face. Hey Faye, I'm glad you're here. We're having crisp, dry, cool fall weather, and I have got some beef and cabbage soup on the cooker. So when I'm done, that is what I'm going to sit down and have with my hubby. Hey Velma and Mary. We've got a good group gathering here today, and aren't y'all impressed? I'm on time again. I mean, I'm starting to, not only surprise myself, but maybe make some new patterns here. Hey Sue, welcome, welcome. So we are going to dive right in. Give me just a moment to bring the camera down and make sure that we are looking at the same thing correctly. Bring my computer up to where I can see what y'all are seeing. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's see how I am in what that's looking like. Make sure I have my sound off on my computer. You're probably just seeing my arm now, which is not very attractive. Okay, let's see where we are. We're working with Queen Anne's lace again today for a lovely, lovely technique video. I think that one of the things I love about a really detailed stamp is the way that you can do some fun techniques with it. So I am still not even able to see what is happening with my video. So apologies for just a moment of pause here while I try to see what y'all are seeing. Not sure. I can't see any comments, can't see my video at all. So let me just, I will say, I don't know why, if you guys are having the same challenge I am, I'm trying to bring up, it happened earlier today as well, where I was trying to bring up Facebook, and it just would not even click for me. Would not come on at all. Like I said, you're probably getting my arm. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and dive in here and kind of sight unseen, trusting that you're still here and that somehow, oh yay, we have actually, finally, I can see. I actually have a pretty good view here for you, except my arm just keeps going back in there. Okay, so I need to come down just a wee bit. We are working with Queen Anne's lace today. Again, this is what I did on Thursday. So for my Thursday Facebook Live videos, we always do a simple and then a stepped up card. Hey, Barbara is here as well, and Crystal. Okay, we've got some other folks that have joined while I was trying to get my my camera view on the computer. So we did simple and we did stepped up, and these cards are almost identical. The only thing we did different was we brought in a little bit of ribbon here. We turned the designer paper over. I don't know if you can see here. This is really subtle, but this is the new in color Bumblebee. I keep wanting to call it Honeybee. It's Bumblebee, and this designer paper is just a wood grain. So that's very much just a tone on tone look. I flipped the paper over for for this one. Gave us a little bit more white, added a layer of Blackberry Bliss. Other than that, these things are really almost identical. So just simple, and then stepped up by just adding in another layer of cardstock and another color. You know, if you had to choose between the two, I think it's, you know, I think they're hard to choose because they're just really, really different. So today I'm going to take the same stamp set and a very similar layout, but this time we're going to do a technique, and we're doing Emboss Resist. And one of the reasons I'm doing this, although this is a lovely stamp set, I'm really glad I got it, is because tomorrow is the last day of this starter kit promotion. And the starter kit promotion is such that you get this stamp set free, plus another stamp set, which is called So Much Love. I'll probably be using that next week. You get 16 prepared card kit projects. So like, you know, the way I do my card kits like this, you get 8 each of 2 different designs. So you get your card kits all ready to go. You get the 2 free stamp sets. You get rhinestones, all of that on top of the already amazing deal. So I wanted to just highlight that because this goes away tomorrow. Not the stamp set. You'll still be able to get this. It's in our annual catalog, and I think it is just lovely. So let's move ahead and let's talk about what we're going to do with our card today. Now you can see I've already got my card kit here ready to go, and I'm using one of our in colors that debuted last year, and that is called Seaside Spray. Of the in colors that debuted last year, and we have for one more full year this year, Seaside Spray is probably my favorite. And which is a little surprising because I'm not overly, I like blues, but it's not, I tend to love yellows. So this is not usually my go-to color. This is kind of a purpley blue, but I really love it. And I thought for today, I am pulled in an embossing folder, and I have it here to show you. It's one of our, what do you call 3D embossing folders, and it's just called Lace. And I love, love, love this. I used it a lot when it first came out. It's really pretty when you put like any of our foil sheets through with it. And oh, Yolanda just joined us. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. And Jess is here. Okay, we've got some more folks coming on with us. I just, you know, when I was looking for an embossing folder for this, I thought, well, you know, this is called Queen Anne's Lace. Let's go with Lace for an embossing folder and see where we end up. So I am going to very, very simply add that, and I still don't have my regular, and I will also tell you before I start talking about adhesive, on this lace embossing folder, the debossed side is really just as nice as the embossed side. So it's hard to choose, to be honest. But I think I'm going to use this one that's very raised up and have that lace really popped up as opposed to, you know, depressed down. So let's put a little bit of Seal on here. And this is the Seal Plus largely because that's what I had handy, and now it's going to pull. That is not something, I will tell you what I was going to give you on a tip on this is one of the things that happens on this is when you have a really detailed embossing folder like this, you're really better off to use your liquid adhesive because what will happen is what just happened to me, and that is where your it will catch and pull your cardstock. And of course, this is the extra heavy duty Stampin' Seal Plus. It was just handy. So a little tip as to how you can avoid that happening. Now I am going to just take, this is a 2 3/4 by 3 3/4 piece, and this is what we are going to do our Emboss Resist with. So while I am working on this, I just want to remind you that when you share my videos, you go into a drawing for a free stamp set each month. And so I appreciate that so much. This is just an embossing buddy. We don't have these anymore. You can get them on Amazon, I think. I know you can get them from other crafting stores like Joann and Michael's. The other thing you can do if you don't have an embossing buddy, this is just an anti-static powder, and I do highly recommend using something anti-static when you're going to emboss because the embossing material and I have this, I'm using white today, has a lot of static in it. And so anything that's going to reduce the static is going to help you. So what I would recommend if you don't have an embossing buddy is to use a used dryer sheet, or even a new one. You can, I mean, but sometimes the new ones will leave like a residue of that stuff that's on the dryer sheet. So you just want something that's going to just reduce the static. So now I'm going to use that lovely, lovely flower head image, and I'm going to actually stamp this in the white craft ink. Now, oftentimes with our embossing, anytime we're using embossing powder, we tend to use Versamark. But I want to tell you that your craft white ink also works, and you can use it with anything, with any of our embossing powders. One of the things I find that when you take white ink and you add white embossing powder, you do get a sharper white. It's what's the word I'm looking for? More saturated white than when you use Versamark, which is clear, and then the white, because you get a double white. So I do prefer when I am going to be stamping, or not stamping, when I'm going to be embossing with white, I much prefer to use this white craft ink. Now we were stamping with it last week, and it gave us that nice chalkboard effect. And this is what it looks like when it's just stamped. So it will bleed through the color underneath. So here I'm going to stamp white on white, and my stamp is going to hang off the cardstock just a wee bit, not to worry. And you notice I am putting a craft mat underneath me, a piercing mat underneath me. That is definitely a best practice for using our photopolymer stamps. Now, I'm going to just dip it into my white craft embossing powder, and it's a little hard to see on there because it is white on white. And because of that, when you go to emboss, and I've got my heat tool here, you want to notice that on the Stampin' Up! Heat tool, it's at 0 now, which means it's on off. It has a 1 and a 2. The first speed is low, and that's what you use. If I were embossing on vellum, that's what I would use. I'm embossing on cardstock, so I go all the way up to 2. It does need to heat up just a little bit, and the only thing that happens if you don't let it heat up a little bit is it just takes a while. And you don't want to wave around. I see people waving this around, and you really don't want to do that. When you're embossing, you want to just hold it until you see it begin to set the ink. And I can see that it's setting the ink because it starts to get a little bit shiny. And when you're doing this white on white, you really kind of have to angle it like this into the light so you can see when it's starting to get shiny. And once it's shiny, then it is done. So that's it. White on white. Very subtle. You can't really see the flower, but this is when the magic starts to happen. So let me pull a couple of things in here. Let me grab a little bit of, this is my laminated grid paper, but I like to use paper grid paper when I'm doing this because I want to be able to throw it away when I'm done. Now, Jess, that's a great question. You're asking about what kind of container. Cheryl, welcome, and Mary, welcome. I like to use something that is totally, what's the word I'm looking for? Airtight. Because these particles are extremely tiny. And I just happen to have some of these, and so that's what I use. I label them. You could use something smaller, but one of the reasons I like these larger containers is, I think these are like old 8-track things, is what they look like. I bought them years ago. But one of the reasons I like something large is because I want to be able to take my piece of cardstock, no matter the size, and dip it in there. To me, it's a lot easier to dip and shake off than to shake it on and then you know, pour it back in. So to me, I find it easier to just dip it in. Now I am going to build some color, and this is where the fun comes, and this is where the magic really happens with Emboss Resist. I'm actually going to be using 3 colors, and when I'm done, you're not going to think that there's 3 colors here. I'm going to start light, and then I'm going to work my way up. And that's typically what you're wanting to do when you're doing this Emboss Resist technique. So I'm starting with Seaside Spray. That is one of the colors that I'm in my cardstock. I'm matching the cardstock, and I have Night of Navy, and then I'm also bringing in a little bit more of the purple to highlight kind of the purpley blue of this color. And I hope I have my sponges over here. Yikes, where did I put my sponges? See, this is where all my preparation can sometimes go by the wayside if I forgot to bring one item over here. Let's see, I showed you the lace embossing folder. Let's see. Okay, I think I'm gonna have to leave you for 1 second because I think they're probably over at my design center. Let me go see. I left them. Yes, I see them. Okay, sorry about that. And what I do with my sponges, you know, our stamping sponges come in a pack of 3 full ones for like $3.50. So I cut them into 6 pieces each, and then they're just a nice size. And then I just put a little piece of cardstock on there so that I don't have to use, you know, rinse them out. I don't have time to rinse and dry. I don't have that kind of patience. So I prefer to just have them like this. And I'll show you the way I store them as well if you like. So I'm picking up, this is Seaside Spray, and I am just using circular motions, and you're best off to start over here because you'll end up with those little inky blotches, which I shouldn't have put on there. And you can see how even with this pale color, look at that gorgeous, gorgeous. I mean, that is like the essence of that. To me looks like baby's breath right there. It's just beautiful with that soft blue. It's almost a baby blue. Susie, you like my design center? Yay. You know, I have a large space, and I tend to just spread into it, and you know, but over the last, I don't know, 6 months or so, I thought, you know what, I need to just kind of dial it in, girl. Dial it in, and let's get a little bit more organized. I have been working on that so hard in my studio space. And so I decided that there was one spot that I tended to be more often than not. And I just decided to bring more of my organizational tools and things into that space, and just call it a design center and be done with it. Now, if I could just leave it like this, and it is lovely just like that, but let's add a few more layers of color. Hey, Laura, I'm glad you're here. I didn't see you earlier. So let's add a little bit of purple and see what happens. So we'll take Highland Heather. You can see why I think this stamp is really, really gorgeous, because you can do so many cool things with it. Now I'm going to add just a little bit of this Highland Heather, and I'm actually going to kind of angle it down so that I don't do the entire rectangle, but I kind of concentrate it on one area. And now look what's happening. Now I have something that is looking even more interesting. I've got a lot more interest going here now. So that's my Highland Heather ink. And hey, Kathy, I'm not sure I saw you here earlier. Kathy Sanford. Now I'm going to take a little bit of navy. Now, you would think that this is going to be too dark, but you will be amazed. So here we go with a little bit of navy, and now I'm going to go in the opposite direction and bring a little bit of an arc going here. and come up this way. Now, when I use the navy, you'll notice that it's going to kind of cover up some of my white embossing, but there is a remedy for that. So I could add more or less of this. If I go into the purple area, it's going to just kind of bring it all together. So now what I need to do is I need to take just a simple tissue. Close up this ink pad so I don't get myself in trouble. I'm just taking a piece of tissue paper and I'm going to wipe. And when I do that, it's going to remove the ink from the white embossing. And then my white pops once again. And actually, truth be told, it wasn't just the navy ink that was on there. It was actually the Seaside Spray and the Highland Heather. They were all kind of showing up there. So now, look what's happening to my piece. Now I have a true art piece. Now, one of the things I'm going to do before I go any farther is I am going to use one of these alcohol prep pads because guarantee you I've got ink on my fingers. Even when you're using a little handle, when you're sponging, which is one of my all-time favorite techniques, because you can do so much with it, you're going to end up with little bits and pieces, not pieces, but little bits of smudgies on your fingers. And I'm going to bring in a little bit of white cardstock, and I don't want to get that on there. So that is the way that I address that quickly and easily. Now, I think that what I want to do here is I'm going to step this up with a couple of things. Because this is a beautiful art piece. I'm absolutely in love with it. I think that whoever I give it to is going to love it as much as I do. But I think if I put just a little bit of silver behind it, it's going to make all those blues really sing. And it's going to cause this to be an even greater focal piece. And that's really what I'm looking for. Now, that I'm not going to put it down yet, but I am going to put this down, and I think I'm going to put it down on dimensionals. The one other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put just a little bit of greeting on here, and I decided for this one I'm going to use the best wishes. And then on the inside I can add celebrating the wonderful things about you. I really, really like this greeting. So yeah, Mary, you keep baby wipes, exactly, by your design center, exactly. One of the things, and baby wipes are fantastic. One of the things I really like about the alcohol prep pads is they're small enough where I can just tuck them in various places. And they also, because they are alcohol, they dry just like that. For me, the baby wipes, especially when they're new, are pretty wet, and then my hands are kind of wet. But the baby wipes serve double duty because when the grandkids are here, then, you know. Okay, so let me put a little greeting on here, and I just have a strip. I think this is like maybe a 1/2 inch strip. I end up with a lot of these little offcuts. I'm sure you do as well from your stamping. And I typically throw these away except for Whisper White. Whisper White, I can always use an offcut of Whisper White. Oh, Mary, I didn't see you here either. Okay, so welcome, welcome, and I'm glad you like the silver. So let's do a little best wishes on here. And then I can't decide whether we're just going to cut it or whether we're going to fancy it up a little bit. So this is what I'm thinking, just a little best wishes here. And I brought this over here just in case I wanted to see if we're going to use it. This new punch, cannot remember the name of it, but it's cool because you can fancy up your edges with kind of a highly scalloped or a little bit of a straighter, end. And the one thing I found here, because it's sized for different widths of cardstock, is for me, I really like to turn this over and make sure that I am lined up here so that I will get an even little edge. See how that gives just kind of a nice little finish? Just something a little bit nice there. So I think I'm actually going to do that on both ends. And so, Susie, you have a creative space, and you need, well, the nice thing about Design Center, Susie, I know that you're a stitcher as well. I don't know if you have your stitching, your quilt work, and your stamping in the same space, but I will say, whether you're designing with paper or with fabric, it kind of fits, doesn't it? Oh, I almost went to the wrong one. I'm using this, what I think is the plainer one, the straighter edge. So let me get that in there. Turn it upside down. Then, I think I'm pretty even. There we go. So now I've got some nice little edges on there. And the one other little thing that I'm going to do, and I will just say along these lines of a technique card like this, is I like to let the technique really speak for itself and not put a ton of embellishment on here. What I am going to add, I think, is a little bit of twine, and if I can find where I put it, I was so organized. Ah, it's right in front of me. This is the twine I'm going to use. It's called Flowers for Every Season Combo. And I think that it's one of those things that you can just pass right over and not notice. But you get these 3 packs of ribbon and trim in one, so it's $10, and you get all 3 of these. This is the one I'm going to use. This is Seaside Spray. And look at this twine. It has a little bit of a white thread and then a Seaside Spray and a little bit of silver. So that is going to be just the ticket to tie in all of my blues here. And I think what I like about this is you see how small it is? I didn't want anything large. See, if I go to put like a large piece of ribbon, how that just kind of dominates. And I want just a little something to finish it off. And you know, if you've watched me very much at all, you know that I am always going with a double bow. I'm a big double or even triple bow fan, but I think with this, it's kind of delicate, and I'm just going to go with a single bow, something I don't do a lot. And I actually like the fact that once this trim is cut, it starts to fray a little bit on the ends, and I think that's going to actually be really, really pretty. So let's just go like that. And I think that's going to be a lovely little touch. So let's go ahead and finish this guy up. Let's see if I've totally ruined my, oh yes, there we go. I didn't ruin my seal at all. I'm definitely learning to make friends with my seal. It took me a little bit of adjustment, having used snail for, I don't know, ever since I've been stamping, which has been, wow, this is strong stuff. I've been stamping for, I think, about 15 years. And the reason this is super strong is because this is Seal Plus, which is meant for boxes and things, but it was just what was right here. It was what was handy. And I'm just going to make sure that that is nicely done there. And I'm going to pop that up with some dimensionals. And so you can see that this actually comes together really quickly. I think that it's super fun. Emboss Resist is one of those techniques that makes you feel like an artist. And so Susie, your stamping and your stitching are co-located. I kind of thought that might be the case. Most of us who do different types of crafts, it needs to all be in kind of one larger or smaller space, depending on how much space. And you know, a large space is not necessary, although I feel very, very blessed to have a big space. But for many years I used a smaller space, and you know, it works. I think it really does just work. Oh, Jackie, I'm glad you like the spool thing, and I will tell you that it really does save you from your, you know, your ribbons going every which way. So Mary, you're thinking it's closer to 20 years that I've been stamping. You know, it's funny. I met Mary when I was substitute teaching, and this was before I was even a demonstrator. I think I was just hosting a party and invited her to a party. So, okay, so let's see how we're going to do this. Let's see. Okay, it's all about the placement now. Let's see what we can do. This is going to go like so. And then I think I'm going to actually bring it, let's bring it down. I think I'm going to bring it down. And actually, I don't even need to trim the tails, although, yeah, it probably needs to be trimmed a little bit. It's a little bit long for my taste, even though it doesn't go, it doesn't, you know, exceed the bottom space of my card. But I think I'm just going to do like that. What do you think? Do we like? I think we do. I'm upside down, so I'm watching it upside down for y'all. So you have to tell me. And see, this one, you can, oh, I've already got a thingy there. Yeah, there we go. So then when I go to put it away, then in my drawer, it is, I keep these in a drawer like that. So yes, oh, Faye, I'm glad you like this. You've seen this before, but not tried it. Yeah, isn't that just an exquisite image, that Queen Anne's lace? When we lived in England, we actually had Queen Anne's lace in our garden. So when I saw this stamp set, I will tell you, when I saw this stamp set, when the catalog first came out, I eyed it. And it was on my list, but I had not purchased it. And then when Stampin' Up! Brought it in for this starter kit promotion, I thought, you know what, I'm jumping in. I'm getting that. Because I think it's just classic beauty. Now you notice I put one dimensional over here, and then this is seal. And that's because this is up on dimensionals already, so I don't want my greeting kind of hanging or like dipping there. So that is it. Best wishes. Now I don't think I have my other blocks over here, but let's just finish it off while I have it here, while I'm with you guys, because once this is over, I'm supposed to clean up, but I probably won't. I've got a bunch of stuff I'm trying to get in the mail, so that's probably going to be on the first order, and then I will come here tomorrow, and my video center here will be an absolute wreck, and I'll be going, oh, why didn't you just clean it up when you were over there? But, you know, that's what I end up saying to myself. And do I have a cleaner over here? Do I have a chamois over here? You gotta be kidding me. I've got like 8 chamois from all of my live classes that I'm not doing very much of anymore. Let me go grab a chamois. Sorry about this. Oh, you know what? Do I have, oh, I have a Stampin' Scrub right here. I didn't need that. Here's my Stampin' Scrub. And actually, this is really good when you've been using the white craft ink. Although you can use it, again, the chamois works. It works for everything. But I do love the extra, what do you think? What do you call it? The extra cleaning that you get through the Stampin' Scrub. Okay, so let's just bring this over here so that I get a really good image. Make sure my envelope is the right side up, because I've done that before. I'm sure you haven't, but I have. So let's just put that on my envelope. And then, look at that. And let's put that same image on the inside. You know, this just wipes off. Baby wipes actually work great on this. You can just use a wet paper towel. You can actually run it under the water. But that's what will clean that off. And let's put this on the inside here. And now, well, I think it's okay. I didn't press probably quite as hard as I should have. So there is my best wishes card. And I could put all kinds of different things on the inside. I could put happy anniversary. I could put happy birthday. There's a lovely greeting in this stamp set that I could use. There's several things here I could say. But I think that it's very classic. It's very pretty. I think I would be very happy to give this to any, you know, it could be a young woman, an older woman. I could give this to a friend. I could give this to a relative. Well, I'm glad you liked my lesson on Emboss Resist. It's a super fun technique. If you didn't have 3 colors, you could definitely do this with 2. You could even do it with 1. But you can see how as I built the color, it really, really does add just a lot of interest and makes it, I think it makes it more beautiful. So yeah, that is my Teach Me Tuesday class for you today. Don't forget that tomorrow is the last day for the starter kit promotion where you get the 2 free stamp sets. Now, this is one of them. My top picks for purchasing the starter kit, because you can choose 125 of whatever you want, but you only pay $99. My top pick is to get your Big Boss machine. So the Stamp and Cut and Emboss machine, this is my top pick. It's a $120 item. And then that gives you $5, and you could add linen thread. You could add the square vellum doilies, because you're going to get, I would typically just add rhinestones, but you're already going to get a pack of free rhinestones with this. So I have a great, really fun, really, what's what I'm looking for? Caring, positive, creative community of demonstrators, and I would love to have you join us if you are not already a demonstrator. So that is only through tomorrow as far as getting the free stamp sets and the free card kits. So I'm going to love you and leave you. It's time for lunch. I'm going to go down, and my soup that I started this morning, they had stew beef on sale at the grocery store. And so I have a bunch of stew beef and cabbage and celery and all kinds of goodies in my soup pot for today. So that is it. Thank you so much for listening. I'll be back Thursday. Sorry. I will be back. Today is Tuesday. I will be back Thursday for more stamping fun with Simple and Stepped Up. Don't forget to share my video, and you'll be entered into my drawing for the free stamp set for September. And I appreciate you so very much. Thank you for tuning in. I'll see you Thursday. In the meantime, take care and God bless.